Hey folks, Dave here, and welcome back to Fallout 4, where today I'm going to be starting a new Let's Build project with you guys. As usual, I work to finish a couple of the larger builds for full tour videos on my own. I'm working on finishing the last few things for the Raider-themed bathhouse at Hangman's Alley, and of course the Thicket Excavations prison. Both of those builds have a bit more work that I'm doing on my own to get the last few details in, and then we're going to have a full tour. But in the meantime, I've been doing a bit of building over at Warwick, as you guys know. I asked you guys to post just your laundry list of ideas for remaining settlements that I haven't worked on yet, and one of them caught my eye because it's a settlement that's been on my list that really needed to get filled out because it plays an important part in my own personal General Dave Minutemen lore. That, as you guys can see, is Abernathy Farm. I've been doing just a bit of work on this build this week to get it set up so that we can build some here together. And I'm just going to jog in the front gate here. As you guys can see, this is going to be a massive tiered farming settlement. The design for this is basically inspired by medieval castles, the idea that you have this centralized fortress that is protecting all of the farmland around it. This is an idea that I've had on my idea document for probably like a year and a half or more. I just hadn't gotten around to it. And I think this is going to be a really fun location to do a bit of building with you guys. As you guys can see, I've got quite a bit of the fortifications already in place, including this central gate here. But I want to hop up the stairs right here and show you guys a couple of things in free cam, kind of an outline of what this settlement is going to be. I've got a couple of mods that massively expand the build area for this location. And I've already laid out, again, that medieval style castle feeling, where I want this upper part of the farm to be this fortress with walkways and living quarters built along the walls. And then outside of the main walls, you've got these secondary walls, just because there's so much farmland that you can't fit everything inside of the central fortifications. This location is going to be supplying a lot of the extra food for my other settlements. Settlements like Sanctuary, yeah, they have their own farms, but a lot of my other smaller settlements around the Commonwealth don't have enough farmland to support this gigantic Minutemen empire that I've created lore-wise, so this farm, again, is going to be fulfilling that massive militarized castle-like farm role for all of my other connected settlements. On the upper tier right here, we have the tall walls, and today we're going to be building a lot of the walkways and guard posts that are going to go up and down this upper wall that are going to be for specifically guarding the open farmland down below. We're going to have some spotlights set up to help protect the crops at night, and then of course we've got the inner garden area right here. Got to be able to fit some of that farmland inside of the walls. Got one large barn where our cattle are going to be kept, and I'll show you guys on the ground here. We've got this gate nearby for grazing the cattle out here in the open fields, and I see some lasers going off. What's going on over here? Looks like a bunch of Raider robots, possibly. Well, they're heading over to Sanctuary, so they're doomed. In the back corner here, we've got our central well for the whole settlement. It's protected by some extra high walls, as you guys can see, so that you can't just shoot from outside of the fortifications and puncture the water tanks. We've got a couple of gates on and off as we go around. Now, a lot of these guard posts are just from either the original settlement or stuff that I placed down in like 2015 when I first not captured but took over the settlement, and that's stuff that I'm going to be removing as I keep building. Yeah guys, that's going to be the overall theme. A large outer farm area, a smaller inner farm, our livestock control area, and then I think some guard towers up in the trees here and along the walls for this lower wall section as well. This small barn is going to be for, I guess, capturing and subduing just wildlife for meat. So probably for the most part, the irradiated deer are going to be our primary targets, and we'll keep them here before they are slaughtered, packaged, and sent off to our other settlements. Before we start building here, now that you guys have an idea of how things are looking overall, I want to show you just a couple of tweaks to the inside. I love this idea of this central electric pylon being the central housing, and in this case the power as well for the settlement. I want to expand that and have at least one more level as high as we can get it in that pylon. I'm not sure yet what the build limit is height-wise for the settlement, but I'd love to have like one more level all the way up here with some beds and living quarters. Got a couple of extra fortifications and supports there to help support the roof. Inside, again, this is mostly vanilla with no real changes just yet. Just a couple of extra temporary beds to help support our new settlers for now. That's all going to get updated and detailed in greater extent. Going to get rid of this junky fridge, and definitely going to expand the bathroom facilities as well. One thing I have done already though is on this part of the pylon I've added a second story with a junky but fortified fusion reactor that the Minutemen have gotten up and running to help keep the settlement powered up. Probably have some additional details up here, some maintenance computers and diagnostics, just some detailing to help support the reactor room here inside of the power pylon. And as you guys can see from the outside, got some extra supports right here that are supporting these large power windmills up here. I'm trying to get a couple of these up here just because the higher height point for them would probably be a great location to place them to get some good wind going, but if this is too crowded, I might remove one or two just for, you know, making it look nice. I really wonder if we can get one more layer up there with a series of probably scaffolding stairs to get up there. That, again, guys, is the overview. That's the plans for the settlement. I think it's time to get building. While we're up here, I'm going to go ahead and go into workshop mode and see what the height limit is for this settlement and see if we can get that extra level up top. Okay, I seem to be hitting an invisible wall, it looks like. Oh, okay, yeah. So there's an invisible wall up there that Bethesda has added for some reason. So I think I'm going to get rid of this windmill. If we're going to be limited to just that height right there, I am going to remove a couple of these windmills. Maybe just that one, so that we have more room to build into the corner, like that. I gotta figure out now how to get that wooden piece down from way up top. Let's just go ahead and put a basic floor across so that I have a visual reference of what our height limits might be. Well, that'll still be a pretty decent addition up top there. With all these extra vines, it could look really cool. I think we're going to mostly work on the housing, though, in a future episode. So, for now, I'm going to leave that floating piece up there. We'll come back to this central pylon housing later. Today, I want to focus on this outside wall, because I've already got so much of it already in place. You guys can see the view out the window there. First things first, we're going to take those same wooden floors. We're just going to run them up and down the walls right here. Turn off surface snapping. There we go. Now you guys can see I've got a piece of floating stair here. This is because I want to have a second layer of walkway up top. So for that, we're going to use probably stuff like this. Although I'm seeing a double layer of barbed wire right there. It's kind of making things awkward. Just clip that through a little bit. So I want a couple of different firing platforms along the walls, and then we're going to build some housing into the lower sections here. Up top right here, we're going to have to put in our own clipped floor piece and just align it later, along with another small stair. Odd that it's just a little bit too high. Bring that in and line it up. This will be a primary guard tower, I think, so we're going to have the entire floor right here covered up. So we're going to add some walls on top of that. Is that floating? Yeah, just a little bit. We'll put some stairs on the bottom. Like so. Again, the wonders of place everywhere. You can clip things basically exactly how you want them. And this will probably need some kind of support underneath that as well. We've got these wooden ones right here. Turn off snapping briefly. I'll just put them on there like that. Let's go ahead and put one more piece of stairs that go down like this, because I want to again have that walkway that runs down the back of the high wall here. That'll give us a reference point for putting some more floors in. Just to be different, let's use the barn floors. I like these a lot. Makes it look like it's been reclaimed from, well, a barn. And it fits because we have this rebuilt barn over here. So we've probably been raiding a bunch of different farms in the area and dragging the corpses of those barns back here to rebuild them. I'm gonna do a couple of things with these pieces to mix them up just a bit, and of course for both immersion and realism purposes we're going to be coming down the entire back side of these walkways and adding things like supports or walls. We want to make sure that we have realistic looking supports for all of them. Okay. So now we can put, got a guard tower in the corner. We can put a couple of platforms down here to be our next guard tower. We don't want, or need, I guess, to have guard towers running down the entire length of this thing. So we'll just put a couple in. Is that stairwell too big? No, that's pretty close actually. So we'll put in some scaffolding stairs there. That's going to give snipers a nice view over the edge. I guess we should probably put some kind of fortification on the end here so they're not just getting shot from down there. There we go. We'll use a barn piece. How does that look from down below? If we seal it up with a second one down here, that can look pretty good. And something that just really helps, I think, guys, with... you see how this is just a very squared off prefab look to this wall cap? If you take a couple of things, like, for example... where's our wooden pillars? If we add in some custom wooden pillars and a few things like this as well, just to break up that blocky silhouette. It can really make things look a lot more real. Somewhere in here, we've got some larger wooden pillars. There we go. Got this big one right there. That's the smaller one. Put a big old post down there for the bottom. And there we have it. It already looks less boxy and prefab with just a couple of extra wooden pieces to flesh it out. Just now realizing, though, that that is clipping all the way through, so let's just move all those pieces back a little bit. We're going to have to add some more stairs through here, too. Here, while I'm thinking about it. That's a good filler piece right there. Just to help with that awkward gap shape. And, ooh, alright. Fell right off the edge there. Let's finish moving these out of the way. Back like that. Start with snapping that one back. Come on, there we go. Then we'll push it back like that manually. And this really is starting to feel like a medieval castle. I'm going to tilt that just a little bit. There we go. And, well, now that I've found the pillars, I've got to go all the way back for the triple supports for the balconies. Just add a couple of details as I go by. Also got tons of stuff like these bits of plywood and stuff. Don't want to dig through my wood too fast. I'm down to, what is that, 1,500 or so. But I'll be going through and doing things like this to help add some scrap detail to the walkways. But where are those? There we are, balcony supports. Turn off surface snapping. Put a couple of those in. They're going to clip through. So I think I'll double stack them. So they're not floating. Yeah, I imagine seeing this from a distance here in the wasteland would be pretty imposing. It overlooks Cambridge right there. And with that second tier we're going to add to the central pylon, this really is going to feel like a fortress farm and not just a farming settlement. This is farming on a, if apocalyptic, still industrial scale for the Minutemen. Let's go over to G2M construction wood walls and see what we've got for the corner here. I always like this outer corner piece. If we use it though, we gotta get rid of the old floor. Oh yeah, that's cool. I like that. Do we have any smaller wall pieces to seal up those gaps? That's supposed to snap more like that, I believe. Probably the same piece for this side. Let's use this one instead. Oh yeah, some of these pieces right here could be useful for elsewhere down the line. going to use a couple of these pieces to cap off the end here. Yeah, some of that's going to be our housing, I think. Make someone their own little room down here, and yep, settler's already stuck in the corner. Get out here and farm some potatoes. The only thing that I slightly worry about here is this gap on the side. I might do a couple of pieces like this, these corner ones, to help. Oh, that's just an open wire fence. To help seal that corner up. Yeah, there we go. They'll just need some supports to seal them up as well. So it's an open guard tower, but with a lot of those open sides facing outside the walls covered up. Still have a good gun port right here, though. Yeah, with these walkways, you can cover quite a few different angles. And turret platforms will also be something that we add down the line here. Here we go. Some basic shack supports. Gonna run them up like that for supporting this corner piece. And then jump the gap there. Oop, that's the wall. Probably just do this for this one. Bring the supports all the way down to the ground. Not the most efficient construction, but it looks imposing and also a little bit scrappy. That brings us to over here. This one's a bit more interesting because we have this rooftop piece right here from our guard shack. I'm going to attempt to make a ramp. Change it up a bit. Yeah. Well, that worked out really well. Then we can use our G2M wall with the little barrier right here to seal up that gap. It's got a dual layer guard tower now. That's pretty fantastic. So now we have this walkway. I might actually use more of these just simple wood scrap pieces, or maybe this bridge too. Oh yeah, let's use the bridge for these longer sections of just open wall. We'll go through and add supports after that. This will have to be a definite support underneath this section right here because it's floating way off the wall. But again, lots of pretty fantastic options for defending our farm here. I'm going to be different and use a roof section as our floor, because why not? And then we'll have, let's say, this piece here, along with this piece here, for our guard tower on this corner. Let's get that back a little bit. There we go. I like how rickety the bridge system looks there. That's awesome. Not sure how that twisted so that the railings were clipped through. How did I not notice that? Okay. Rickety walkway right there, and this will probably be the end of the guard tower system until we get to a guard tower down there in the middle of the wall on that section. So this will just end naturally here. Is snapping on? Okay, snapping was not on. That's what's been going on. Well, that's not what I want at all for the snap. I want this doorway piece, but yeah, that might fit a little better if we shift our stairs to the left like this. Again, I gotta put supports under these anyway. Why not, right? And looking at the ricketiness of this right here, I'm going to go ahead and put a few boards down just to help that gap right there. That is super, super dangerous. I think I hear some gunshots out there too. I've stored away most of the turrets that were here from years past, so I'm actually a little bit low on defenses. But very complete walls, as my Minutemen settlements tend to have. I'm excited to show you guys the final Joel-themed Raider bathhouse, just because it is very different from my Minutemen settlements. This one, I think, is a fun idea, but it does have some General Dave staples, like the perfect walls and whatnot. It's always fun to do something a little bit different. There we go. Again, you're kind of exposed in these guard towers, but you've got a great sight line. What is that gigantic hole in our rooftop here? Let's do this. Let's plop that one down, and then I'm just going to seal it up manually. Because why not? Then I'll probably put, yeah, some sandbags up here to help absorb incoming fire. Not much else here in the defense category for G2M that would fit up here. This gravel is probably way too heavy to put up on these rickety walkways. Speaking of rickety walkways, though, let's go ahead and do a quick save, because I want to hop down here, and where you guys can see that we have these floating pieces that we've added in, it's time to put in some supports for my immersion. To get those supports, we're going to go back to our structures wood category. I've got that awesome mod that adds in pillars. I do want, I think, wooden pillars to stick with the wooden theme here. The weakness of these walls is going to be Molotov cocktails. You know what, guys? Let's make that part of the lore. Let's make sure we have a fire brigade here at this settlement to deal with anyone attempting to either burn the walls down or burn the crops, because now that I think about it, that could be a threat. Raiders that don't want to steal, but just want to wipe out what we've built here, even as far as food goes. Put a crossbeam in like that, and a support pillar like that. Is there a door back here? Oh, it's right there. Okay. I want to make sure we're not going to block the doors here. I like these big cross beams right here. We can use them for supporting things like the bridge and just clip it right into the barn. Looks kind of cool, actually, coming through like that. And there's Clarabelle, our unique Brahmin, who will soon be joined once we finish detailing the barn by a bunch more. There's our lazy farm cat. Okay, we need a couple more of these support pieces. Let's do a crossbeam like this. Let's do one, and then gotta place it manually a bit. One like that. Oop. Alright, I'm just starting to move everything now. Oh, my axis is off. Stand by. There we go. I've noticed that my Shadowplay recording key seems to be a new shortcut in place everywhere that changes the object axis to be world relative instead of player relative. And I generally use player relative. It's just more intuitive, you know, if you're looking at an object to move it away from you, left or right of where you're looking at it from, at least here in game. And I'll put a pillar on the corner of that piece as well. Tell you what, let's not use so many of the same pieces. I'll use one of these smaller ones and then just resize it myself. Yeah, junky, but I like it. Yeah, this is, I think, starting to look really unique because we started with these extra large homemaker walls, and by adding our own customized towers onto the corners, you know, building them piece by piece, and then customizing the walkway behind them, it's really starting to look unique. We do still have a pretty sharp edge, though, along the back here of these prefab pieces, which doesn't look great. I'll tell you what, guys. Let's go back to G2M. I'm gonna burn through all of my steel today in one episode. Have to go back and get more from Diamond City. Let's go back to G2M, and I'm going to use some of these wall pieces that I just really, really like to fill in some detailing here. Surface snap off, snapping on. Gonna put a doorway right there. That'll give that a slight edge. And we'll run some of these canopies resized a bit down the back to break up that prefab look. Gonna have to move this back a little bit right here. See, I'm gonna remove this guardrail piece that I put in here and clip this, whoa, into the corner, not quite like that. Oh, my rotation is cranked way up. That's what's going on. Again, the purpose being to break up as many of these boxy shapes as we can. That is definitely helping. I think even if we had one more like this to just seal up this corner, even if it's not quite aligned, that still looks pretty good. And that's still a big enough gate for our workers and probably the Brahmin as well to make their way out the gate. Might have to load those Brahmin a little bit lower as far as their cargo goes, or perhaps load them up outside of the gate. Now for up here, I was thinking about also using these G2M pieces to do a couple of different things. Let's just spitball a bit here. Oop, there's the console. And for our doorways, we could do one... where's the one that has the door in the middle? We could do a shack up top like this. I'm trying to think though, would this be a sleeping quarters or just a... Nah, this wouldn't be a sleeping quarters. This is going to be one of our ready rooms for the guards up here. And I'll use this balcony with snapping turned off, like this. Post right in the middle of the stairs. Let's just enlarge that by 1, maybe 2. There we go. Gotta go up a little bit with it. Well, we just won't be able to actually walk up there, but you could duck under that rooftop. Thinking about having the roof slope like that, but I think it's time to go back to just our default wood rooftops. And I won't use cloth because we're going to have weapons in here. We'll use actual metal for the rooftops. I'll start out there. There. And basically a half unit short on our snapping. We do have these small pieces. Let's just put a couple of those in. This might be getting a little too off the rails as far as our snapping and whatnot goes. Let's see. From above, no, it looks okay. Kind of awesome, actually. Like a medieval guard post. We just need to, I think, seal up this gap right here, that hole in the side. And I might just use, let's see, a more traditional wooden wall for that. Or in this case, it's going to be steel. I'm going to tilt these small roof pieces a little bit. A junky ready room, but a ready room with access to all of the catwalks. We'll probably have like a radio going, some weapon racks, maybe a couch. Just a couple of small things in here. Let's just seal this gap up as well right here. And I know I had talked about going ahead and adding those living quarters below the walls here, guys, because, again, it's just floating right now. But I think we're already low on time. So I'm just going to leave this part over here floating for now. We'll come back to it. I want to really focus in on finishing off this guard ready room right here. I'm kind of liking where that's going. I might have to remove that bush in the creation kit too. That's going to drive me crazy. we're going to start with a couch of some kind. We'll go with just the traditional worn out couch. And wait, cloth is 10 cloth. Wow, alright, it is going to be time for going back and getting more supplies. Well, crap. I guess we're going to build wood furniture for the rest of this episode. I think we can build lockers at least, can't we? Yeah, we got enough steel for that. Let's build the ones from do it yourself though. There it is. That one tucks nicely right there. Got some fridges. Just put a basic metal shelf right here. Seeing it's mostly out of the elements right here. I might even put a door on this side as well. Leave this side open, but put a door in right there. Let's take a look. It's gonna have to swing inside though because of that ramp outside. Yeah. Let's just make sure that we keep the doorway clear so it can swing. Put one like that. I completely lost my train of thought because that floating side over there is still bothering me. Even though I just said we're going to save it for next time. Yeah, ammo and weapons. We're going to put, with snapping on, a couple of items here on the shelves. Yeah, we're out of cloth and a bunch of stuff. That's armory number 1. Might put like a weapon chest in this little cubby hole too, where you could crawl to get to it if you had to. And maybe some weapons underneath this walkway. Well, that'll be our primary wall ready room. And I think if we go back to decorations, display, weapon racks. Got a couple of options here. Let's do a handful of, see, 2 pistol, 1 generic weapon rack. Oh, and we do need power. I think a classic bare light bulb is going to be good fit for in here. Where do we have power from? I don't even know. Alright. What else was I gonna put over here? Now, of course, you guys know me. Plenty of decorations are still to come, but I'm gonna use my last bit of cloth on a wall map there. Let's see, wall decorations, creative clutter, rooms, outdoor workshop, miscellaneous. How did I get so low on cloth without realizing it? I'm gonna hang kind of a warning chime almost right there. This makes me wonder, did I somehow break my connection with other settlements? put you on a supply line to, let's just say County Crossing. Nope, I am 100% out of cloth. Well, you don't get to leave. Back to farming. Oh, some of you guys are like stuck farming over here, even though I've removed the plants. This settlement, you know, it's on a 2.5-year-old heavily modded save game. Who knows what weird stuff might be broken here. As you guys can hear, I have gotten my settler command stuck. There we go. Speaking of broken things. Had to hit tab to let go of the settler because I can't give him commands. Speaking of broken things, right? Give a little Nuka lounge light here. And a winning hand of poker. This all seems quite appropriate for a ready room. And is that floating? No, that's okay. Just tweak it slightly. There we go. There's one more slight change I'm going to do here, guys. I want the stairways, no matter where they are, for this raised wall defense section to be heavily secured. So we're going to... Well, we're going to suffer is what we're going to do, because we're going to rotate this into place to seal up the stairs here. Okay, there we go. We're getting close already. Come on. There we go. That's not so bad. If I can just get it a little bit closer. Yeah, there we go. Whew, okay. Well, that wasn't that painful at all, actually. Now you've got a very secure hatchway. Once again, thank you, place everywhere. Alright guys, well I want to see what you guys think about what I've built so far, so I don't want to just build for 5 hours without any input. Make sure you guys let me know down in the comments section what this settlement is missing and where we should go for that next Let's Build episode. For now, I'm going to just fill in a couple of these sections here with some wall pieces because it's driving me crazy. It looks so unfinished. I'll just use one of these too. Why not? And yes, that's now still floating down below, but that's at least giving it something beneath the walkway. Is that clipping above? For now, guys, let me know down in the comments what you want to see next for this location. We might work on that central pylon housing next time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys then.